Hello, welcome to your Snack Sandwich. Today I'm going to take a look at AMPLIFI or Perpetual Yield.io. Now this is a project, someone from the team basically reached out to me, maybe the development team or the growth team, and they asked me to take a look at it. So here I am taking a look at it. Now there are a lot of cool ideas in here and it's very interesting, so I thought I would cover it and explain what happens here. Now I haven't looked at the contracts, I haven't done any code auditing, and I also haven't really looked at the team. I don't know if the team is doxed or anonymous or what kind of history they have. All I've done is I've read the docs, and I'm going to explain to you what this system does. And I've talked to one person from someone from the team who claims to be part of that team. So do your own due diligence on those two factors and make sure you understand those risks and make sure you're comfortable with those things when you do that diligence. So what is this project? So they call it the first decentralized annuity. Okay, so it's perpetual yield forever through this system. The system will generate perpetual yield forever. And what it does it by, how it does it is it's because it's the whole idea of this system is to make Ethereum validators and then use those earnings of the validators to give it to the token holders of this system. Okay. So it's pretty interesting. There's a whole bunch of tabs here. You can kind of play around with this and come and take things. But I'm going to use a flowchart to explain to you how this entire system works, and I find it to be just easier. But before we go to the flowchart, let's just take a quick look and talk about the docs. Like I said, all I've done is read this docs, and the docs does have a lot of cool ideas. It's well done. There's a lot of content here. It will take you quite a bit of time to read this docs, and it does kind of show some understanding of DeFi and monetary policies and stuff like that, of different tokenomics and stuff like that. So I will talk a little bit about some of the ideas as I go through the flowchart, but again, please read through the whole docs at your leisure and, kind of confirm my understanding as well. Okay, so let's go over to the flowchart and talk about that now. Okay, so here we are on the flowchart, and here we have dollar bill. He's an ETH maxi. He wants more ETH. He wants to spend his ETH and use his ETH and just be ETH person, right? So first thing he can do is he can go to the Uniswap pool, which is linked in their website as well. So you would buy the AMPLIFI token. Now they use the pool that they've created is AMPLIFI USDC. Now they talk in the docs about the benefits of using this kind of pool as opposed to using ETH. And that is basically the idea that ETH goes up and down in value. And when ETH goes down in value, then the entire pool value goes down in value. So as ETH decreases in price, then it kind of drags the AMPLIFI price down with it, okay? And then there's the concept of impermanent loss. If ETH goes one way and AMPLIFI goes the other way, your impermanent loss is increased and so forth. And, USDC kind of mitigates that risk a little bit. It has the downside protection, right? So they talk about that in the docs, so they justify this idea inside the docs. So the first thing you can do is DeFi 1.0, and that is buy some AMPLIFI and put those AMPLIFIs into the single staking and gain about 38% APR. Or you can build this LP and stake the LP and get about 42% APY. Now this is simple concept stuff. So moving on. If you were to buy 20 of these AMPLIFI tokens, then you can take advantage of the actual system that they've built. Now, if you can't get 20, you can't afford it, then maybe the single DeFi 1.0 is the way to start. Buy a bit of these AMPLIFI tokens, stake them, and then gain that 38% until you have about 20. And then once you have 20, then you can take advantage of everything over here. So basically, you take those 20 AMPLIFI and you lock them in an amplifier. Okay, now this is non-transferable. These amplifiers are non-transferable. So make sure you do this with a wallet that is, safe. Use a hardware wallet or something that you don't degen a lot with, because if this wallet gets compromised, your amplifier is gone. This is also irreversible. You will never get these 20 tokens back. So it's in essence, it's taking them out of supply. Now these AMPLIFI tokens do have a max supply, and I can't remember the exact number. Check in the docs; they're in there. And basically, every time someone builds an amplifier, they are taking 20 20 AMPLIFI tokens off the market, out of circulation. It's basically burning them instead of sending them to the burn address, they're locked inside this amplifier. Now, holders of amplifiers get 159% APR paid in AMPLIFI. Now, there's two cool things here, okay? So they have this log claim frequency decay. So the more you claim, then the less you get. Okay, so when you first claim, when you first start off, you're going to have 159%. But if you start claiming, then your APR will decrease. So you don't want to claim too often. You know, I think the number that they said was like 15 claims, and then you're like no longer beating the S&P, right? S&P 500. So, you know, this is cool. So this is like basically people claim for two reasons, right? They claim because they want to sell, take profits, or they claim because they want to build more amplifiers. So every time you claim, you're going to reduce your APR. So keep that in mind. This is cool. The other idea they have here is what they call this AMP, which is like I can't remember some monetary policy, alternating monetary policy or something. So reward refill. So as the pool of rewards for this, like these rewards for these amplifiers goes down, so as people are claiming and maybe selling, then once it gets to 5% of the original, then it will start filling back up. But it doesn't just fill right back up to the top so people can claim. It slowly fills. So it'll fill 10%. And then when it decreases by 1%, it'll fill 10%, and then 1%, and then 10%, and then 1% down. So they have this idea that like they're not going to flood the rewards into the rewarder. So basically, there could be a possibility that there's not enough rewards for you to claim, and you'll have to wait. Okay. Now, the idea of this is to curb selling, right? Because people claim for two reasons: one, to sell, or to build more of these amplifiers, or to compound into this farm, right? So there's that. Now, next thing. Now, if you do have amplifiers, there are the thing that you can do with these amplifiers beyond this, you know, get this AMPLIFI token, is you can fuse them. Now, it's kind of like spreading your rewards across 1, 3, or 5 years, because these are already locked. They're already non-transferable, irreversible. So when you fuse it, you're basically spreading some of your rewards across these time frames, okay? So if you choose a 5-year lock, then you get a boost of 39% on top of this 159, and then 23 and 11 respective. And it basically just will boost your AMPLIFI rewards. The second thing, and this is where the validators come in. So they already have obtained one validator, and I believe that they're growing towards getting another one through the fee structure, which I will talk about after. So the rewards from these validators go to the people who have fused, right? So the people who hold amplifiers, not the people who have not fused. Only the fusers get this ETH, okay? And it's respective based on the fuse level, okay? So if you add this up, you get 100, right? So it's 100% of this ETH. They don't know how much ETH they're going to get, right? So this is not APR or APY. It's proportional. So 100% of this ETH is given to the fusers, and it's divided among these different levels respectively. So 20% of all the ETH will be given to the 1-year fusers, and 45% to the 5-year fusers. Okay, now it's paid in ETH and claimable, right? Now, the next thing you can do is you can mint GAMP. Okay, now again, if you have one amplifier and you fuse it for 5 years, then you can mint one GAMP on top of it. Now, GAMP is basically the governance token of the protocol. Okay, but it will be vested over the period that you fused. Okay, so you will get 0.125 in a year, or you'll get one full GAMP token in 5 years. Now, what does GAMP holders get? Okay, if you've claimed your GAMP, then you will get trading fees paid in ETH. Now, this is the first time you'll see this, and this is very important. So listen to this. They've built the contracts so that when you buy or sell, then your gas cost is increased and you pay some ETH. Okay, so you pay ETH to the gas, to the miners, right? But you also pay ETH to these GAMP token holders. Okay, so this is the part where you really have to be comfortable and be careful. And you'll see this a lot as I go through the fee structure, that they have a lot of this built in here, where they're basically taking ETH from your wallet to pay the system. Okay, so make sure you're comfortable with this. Make sure you go in and feel that this project is good, and don't be surprised when the ETH in your wallet, your gas cost, so to speak, is higher. Okay, so this ETH is given whenever somebody trades on this pool, and it's then given to these GAMP token holders. Now it says snapshot 30 days. Now what is this talking about? Like I said, this one GAMP is vested over 5 years. So you can claim it every day or every 30 days or every month or every 2 months or whenever you want. But the ideal time to claim it is right before this snapshot. So every 30 days they'll do a snapshot. And if you claim directly before it, you will have the most possible GAMP tokens in your wallet, and you will get more of these ETH tokens, of this ETH cost of trading. Okay. The second thing that the GAMP token does is allows governance voting. Now you can check the docs and read a little bit more about what kind of things you can vote on. And then the last thing that this GAMP token does is it grants access to this OTC swap, which is in development and it is not live quite yet. Okay, so you can look into that more. I'm not going to talk about this OTC swap right now, and because it's not live. So the developer teams and the ops teams, so basically the guy who reached out to me and then the coders and so forth, they pre-minted themselves some GAMP tokens. So 40 to the devs and 20 to the ops teams. Now these GAMP tokens are not privy to these ETH, so they don't get these trading fees. They don't get any dividend, so to speak. They just get voting rights. Now the idea here is that the team and the ops team who care about this project can kind of have a pretty substantial voice in the voting and the development of this project, so they can steer it so it doesn't go off the rails, so to speak, by some bad actor. Okay, now let's talk about the fees. There's a lot here, so let's go through them carefully, and I'll talk about everything about these fees. Okay, there's a lot of them. Okay, so everyone who has an amplifier has a monthly fee of 0.008 ETH. So if you have an amplifier, whether it's fused or not, you need to pay this upkeep, and if you don't pay this, then you don't get to claim. So every month you need to pay this, and you need to pay it up front, so beforehand. So as soon as you mint, you're going to pay this, and then every month you pay, and you can prepay, I think, 6 months. So this 0.00 ETH, 100% of it is used to obtain more validators. Okay. Now, if you don't pay this fee, then after 30 days, if you don't pay, then you cannot claim your rewards. And if you wait another 30 days, so 60 days, and you don't pay, then your amplifier breaks and becomes dormant and useless. So this is something you're gonna have to be okay with paying. Now, hopefully the rewards from these validators will offset this. Basically, it's basically a tax on your rewards as long as the rewards are substantial enough. Okay. Now, anytime someone claims AMPLIFI, then I told you that this ETH, right? This is one of the things where whenever you claim AMPLIFI tokens, the contracts will also take some ETH from you. So 6% of the value of the tokens that you claim will be in ETH will be taken from your wallet. 50% will be used to obtain more validators, and 50% is what I'm calling buyback and burn, right? So they say buyback, they buy the AMPLIFI tokens and take them out of circulation, but it doesn't say in the docs where they go. So I'm calling them buyback and burn, but maybe they're going to use them to build more amplifiers. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. So Now, down here, there's trading fees, okay, again in ETH. So they're going to take more ETH every time you trade. So whenever you buy, 3% in ETH will be taken from you. So you pay a tax of 3% whenever you buy AMPLIFI tokens. And 1/10 of that is given to the validators. Now, the other 9/10 are used for various things like developing this OTC swap, given to the GAMP token holders, and so forth. You can read the docs to find out where all these 1 to 10 different things goes to, okay? So again, another 1/10 is every time someone sells. Now this is interesting, okay? So whenever someone sells, it starts at 3, and it's a variable fee or taxation that goes up to 5.25%. Now the variability of this is based on this graph up here, the reward pool. So as people are claiming, the rewards in that pool are decreasing, and the fee to sell is increasing. So it basically really de-incentivizes people to sell, because you claim, you reduce the rewards. Just claiming increases your sell fee, and then if you sell them, then you pay that sell fee. Again, 1/10 of it will be used to obtain more validators, and then the other 9/10 will be used for various different things, okay? Now, anytime the LPs, this guy here, they claim, they also pay 2%. So their APR is probably closer to something like, if you claimed once a year, it would be 40%, right? So 2% of the LP AMPLIFI claims, and 100% of that is used to obtain more validators. And then anytime you mint these GAMP tokens, you have to pay a set amount of 0.001 ETH just to mint these AMPLIFI tokens. So that's why you don't want to claim, or you don't want to mint these GAMP tokens very regularly. You want to do it once a month, okay? So right before the snapshot, because you have to pay 0.0001 ETH to mint these things, okay? So again, 100% to obtain more validators. And then the last thing is anytime you claim the ETH from holding the GAMP. So if you hold GAMP, and then there's like, oh, okay, sir, you have ETH to claim, and then you claim it, 6% of that is taken and used to obtain more validators. So as you can see, they have a lot of ideas in here about fees and how to use these fees to obtain more validators. And that's what you want, because this is the generator. This is the thing that generates yield for the people who hold these amplifiers, okay? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this amplified reduced early claim fee. So think of it this way. As soon as you start having amplifier tokens, so as soon as you create an amplifier and you're able to claim amplifiers, then you will have a 9% reduction fee. And then after 72 days, this fee is gone. So basically, this just reduces the amount of AMPLIFI. This is not an ETH fee, so there's no percentage given to validators, because it just reduces the amount of AMPLIFI. So once you open an amplifier, the best time to start claiming AMPLIFI tokens is 72 days later, because you will get the most of them that you could possibly get. So you have to wait 72. You don't have to, but if you claim early, you're going to lose some. You're going to give up 9, and then 8, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and all the way down, okay? So this pretty much covers what I understand here. Now, it's a pretty complicated project. I took quite a bit of time to read the docs and make this. As you can see, it's a pretty thorough and heavy flowchart we have here. So I would suggest you do the same. Like, before you consider buying 20 AMPLIFI tokens and locking them in an amplifier, make sure you understand it, because these amplifiers, they do have life cycles, okay? They have these 1, 3, 5 year life cycles. And I'm not exactly sure whether or not if you lock for 1 year, then you can then fuse it again for 3 years and you can change the fusing. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's possible to do that. So there's a lot of questions in my head still, but this kind of covers it and really deep dives and tells you a lot of what's going on. And I hope this has been useful and interesting. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and goodbye.